for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk facts.
We're giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
Play it on the car ride, play it when you lounge. X and O, you know that we can hold it down. Shout out to my man Sammy, got it off the ground. And to all the listeners tuned in right now, got debates, analysis, and speculation. This is sports talk for the new generation. You know where to find us, got a reputation. Sick podcast, your #1 sports destination.
Giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
S-I-C-K is the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk back. S-I-C-K,
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 S-I-C-K.
All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
S-I-C-K, it's the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk facts.
We're giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
Play it on the car ride, play it when you lounge. X and O, you know that we can hold it down. Shout out to my man Sammy, got it off the ground. And to all the listeners tuned in right now, got debates, analysis, and speculation. This is sports talk for the new generation. You know where to find us, got a reputation. Sick podcast, your #1 sports destination.
Giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
S-I-C-K, it's the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk back. S-I-C-K,
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 S-I-C-K.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast. The Eye Test with Pierre, McGuire, and Jimmy Murphy.
The Stanley Cup winning Colorado Avalanche And after 22 years, Raymond Mark!
The sickest NHL podcast. It's gonna be sick.
It's the sickest podcast. Tune in for.
I was muted there. I apologize. The eye test is here from the Sick Podcast Network. Jimmy Murphy, Pierre McGuire. Pierre, lots going on in the NHL today. A lot last night happened. Let's look back at last night first. And I want to start with the game I have my eyes on closely, and that's the Florida Panthers beating the Boston Bruins 6-4. It was not as close as the score said. They just took it to them in the first period and never really looked back. The one thing that struck me in that game, besides the fact that Korpisalo did not look good between the pipes for the Boston Bruins, I thought was the defense in front of him. They did not have the trademark Bruins structure. Now, it's only one game, Pierre, but, that's usually the Bruins' bread and butter. When you have an opening game like that, you're the coach, you just throw it away, or are you taking a lot of notes and applying it the next day in practice?
Every day you take notes. Every day you try to make your team better. I mean, you don't overreact. It's one game, as you correctly said, against a defending Stanley Cup champs who, an emotional type situation, raising the banner. They got their rings the night before. Massive hurricane about the hit. They want to do a solid for their fans. There's a lot that goes into a game like that. It's not that easy to play when you're the visiting team. My concern for the Boston Bruins is Joonas Korpisalo. Rebound control is atrocious. If he doesn't track the puck better, you're not getting a lot of wins when he's playing. I don't care who the defense is. And goalie Bob, is going to have to do a good job with him, Bob Yesensa. But yeah, I would just tell you that it starts there. He wasn't ready to play. He can have all the defenders he wants. Mm-hmm. He's got to be ready to play, and he wasn't ready to play. Their defensive zone coverage has to be better. And Brandon Carlo will be a lot better. We all know that. Charlie's not going to get singed in a one-on-one like he did by Sammy Reinhart in a shorthand situation. That's early season stuff. Advantage to the offense, not the defense. So that'll get better. But there's got to be way more chemistry there. Florida was ready to play. Boston was not. And I think the coach knows that.
Yep. When you mentioned just the banner going up and everything, sometimes I've found that, the away team can kind of catch the team that's celebrating a banner like that early in the first period. And it looked like the Panthers weren't going to be caught off guard at all. I mean, they looked honed in right away. And I was pretty impressed that, Maurice had him that way, because sometimes it's easy. It's an emotional moment. You're reflecting on last year. It can take you away from the moment you're in that game. But I was very impressed with how ready to go they were.
What's really disturbing to me, I've read most of the press accounts of the game, and I watched the entire game. Not one person's brought this up. Florida hates Boston.
Oh, yeah.
They don't dislike them. They hate them.
Yep. And they own them, right?
But the Bruins better get some of that hate for Florida. Yeah. Because this is what's separated these two teams right now. They've played in the playoffs 2 straight years. 2 straight years they've played in the playoffs. Florida has beaten them twice on their way, once to going to the final and once to winning. They don't dislike them, Jimmy. They hate them.
I know.
And one of the things that's really apparent, Sam Bennett's in their head. Mm-hmm. I know the Bruins fans dislike Matthew Tkachuk. If Matthew Tkachuk was a Boston Bruin, he'd be the most popular guy on the team.
Brad Marchand, yeah.
Okay. And Florida has a player that Boston used to have, but don't have anymore. That's Patrice Bergeron. They have Sasha Barkov. Mm-hmm. He stabilizes every situation, every single one. So people can say whatever they want. That's not right now. It's not a good matchup for Boston. It's not.
And one thing, I'm glad you brought up Bennett, and just the team as a whole, Florida, when they play Boston, I think the whole team's in their heads, and they do little things out there. Like I was just reading before we came on here, Trent Frederick was saying that, I guess Matthew Tkachuk challenged him, and he said, okay, let's go. And he's ready to drop the gloves. And then Tkachuk's just sort of smirking at him. And he's like, this is what they do. They try to draw us in and take stupid penalties. And They know how to do it when the ref's not looking. They know how to get under our skin. And it's worked for the most point when they play the Boston Bruins.
Jimmy, I've told you this since last year, and nobody wanted to own up to it. I watch almost every game, every night. And the one thing Florida does better than anybody else, no team in the league does it better. And people can write and say whatever they want. I'm telling you the facts. No team brings you into a street fight more than Florida. Yep. And sometimes they want to be in the street fight, Florida, and other times they goad you into the street fight and then walk away.
Yep.
Nobody's better than them. They've been doing it probably for the last 2.5 years, and they figured out their identity, and they're really good with it. And, like I'll give you an example. One little thing. For Hagee. Okay?
Oh, yeah. Congratulations, Tim, by the way. 8-year extension. Well earned.
When did they announce it?
Yep.
Just before
I know.
the game?
Yep.
So what's the focus on? We're happy for Carter, and I give Billy Zito and his management team a lot of credit. They could have waited till today.
Yep.
They did it yesterday. I thought players don't negotiate during the season. Didn't you hear that somewhere?
Yeah, I've heard that.
I know. Joey Decord just signed a contract for 5 years.
I want to get to that in a bit.
I know that Linus Ullmark just signed a contract for 4 years, but people don't negotiate during the season. Oh, I understand. Okay.
Yeah, I got you. We're going to get to those goalie signings in a bit because I want to ask you about the bigger picture when it comes to that. But just one more thing on this game, too. You bring up Barkov there. And he's such a complete player, but just the way, and it's a good analogy that you made, the way they feed off him, like the Bruins used to feed off Bergeron. Every shift he goes out there, he can carry, he can put the team on his back, and he leads. He's a true leader, and I'm so impressed every time I watch him play.
I'm really glad you are, because it's true, and you're spot on. And Jimmy, here's the thing. Patrice Bergeron was a second-round pick in the 2003 draft. Sasha Barkov is the gift that keeps on giving, and it's from Dale Talon. And Dale Talon was a GM there. He took him second overall. Yep. So one guy was a second-round pick that turned out he's going to be a Hall of Fame player, and the other guy's on his way to having a Hall of Fame career. We'll see if he can keep it up, and if he can, he'll be joining Patrice Bergeron, Guy Carbonneau, and all those great defensive players, Bob Gainey, that are in the Hockey Hall of Fame. But the thing that blows me away, this is where I think the pundits get fooled. They're always looking for the points because it's easy to report on points.
Points are sexy.
They're right there for you, right? They're right there. But it's hard to break a game down when a guy might not be getting points, but he doesn't need to score to influence the outcome of the game.
Exactly.
And every time Sasha Barkov plays, this team's not going to win every night. He influences the outcome of a game one way or the other. But he's really good. He's really good.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. All right, let's go to the game that happened before that. It started up while we were on the air. The St. Louis Blues take a road win in Seattle. It was the first game of the day there. And they get 3-2 win there, Pierre. Look, these are two teams, as you said yesterday, probably aren't going to the playoffs. It wasn't – I was going in and out watching that and watching the baseball. It wasn't the most exciting game. Is there anything – I don't know if you had a chance to watch any of it. Is there anything you took from that game?
I watched the whole game. I'll tell you, one of the big concerns I have for Seattle, mistakes at the blue lines, lack of attention to detail at key times in the game. And I'll give you an example. It's a 3-2 game. Seattle gets an offensive zone faceoff. It's to the left of Jordan Binnington, Seattle's right side. And they take their timeout, which I think was appropriate, especially with a new coaching staff, new ideology. And they pan to the bench. And the coach has the dry erase board. And they set everything up. Dan Bilesman and his staff, they set everything up. And they put Shane Wright on to take the face off. Now, you can go look it up, Jimmy, right now. I don't need the notes. I watched it. There's no way that kid was better than 35% in faceoffs yesterday. Not a chance. No chance.
You're right now.
And
yeah, I know. And
what was he?
I'm looking right now. One sec, Pierre.
It's okay. Take your time.
Where's Shane right here? He was 33.3, right on the money.
Okay, I said he's no way was he better than 35%. Okay, I'm just telling you, watch the game.
Yeah.
So he's out there, most important face-off of the game. And this I give Ray Ferraro, who was broadcasting the game for ESPN. I watch the games. I don't turn the sound up because I got a bunch of stuff going on. But I heard him say, and correctly so, one guy has been doing this for a long time, Braden Shen, and the other guy is just starting.
Right.
They did all that hieroglyphics on the bench, drawing all the stuff. They lose the face-off clean. They don't even get a shot on net.
Yeah.
Game over.
Mm-hmm.
About a minute, 35, 40 left, whatever it was. They didn't even get a shot on it. So they took all that time, did their timeout. So this is what I'm talking about. Little attention to detail. It all starts with not knowing. I'm going to bet they didn't know their face-off stats.
That's not good.
It's a new staff. They're starting out. I get it. But again, people will say, well, it's opening. Yeah. 2 points last night is the same as 2 points on the last night of the year.
Yeah.
Okay, they all count.
Yep.
So this is just, and I'm sure one of the things, I haven't spoken to him, but their GM's really smart. I had the privilege of working with him. He's really smart.
And that was one of his specialties was face-offs.
He was the king. He was the king. So, and I know he drafted Shane Wright. He thinks the world of Shane Wright. He thinks the world of Matty Beniers. But this is just one little example for the viewers out there. Everybody says, well, coaching doesn't matter. Yeah. Coaching matters a lot. There's an example of one coach had his veteran on there. The other guy had his rookie out there.
Yeah.
Rookie got crushed. So the one thing I'm taking out of that game, St. Louis got better as the game went along, and their attention to detail. And I can see the influence of Claude Julien in there. St. Louis, their attention to detail, very good. Board play was very solid. Okay. I didn't see the same thing from Seattle.
Yeah. Glad you brought up Claude Julien in there too. He's going to help them a lot, I think, in the neutral zone, Pierre.
100%.
He really, I remember when he came to Boston, I'm talking first season, 07-08. And if you remember how sloppy and how bad that team was the year before in 05-06, when they came back from the lockout, and he comes in there and he just instills, like, that was one of the number one things. I just remember him the first day saying that we are going to tighten up that neutral zone if it's the last thing I do. And that became a bread and butter under his coaching reign there. And it always has been. That's always been one of his specialties. So they'll tighten that up there. St. Louis, someone's saying there in the question section, what direction are they going in? I think that's a good question. I look at that team, Pierre, and you could say, okay, are they leaning towards the future? Are they going for a playoff spot? They're, to me, one of those retools on the fly right now.
Well said. They're a retool on the fly. So Jake Neighbor's a good young player. He'll just keep getting better. Jordan Kyrou, he's a real good young player.
Oh, yeah.
I think Thomas is a really good young player. Robert Thomas is a real good young player. They've got some size on defense. They've got some veteran presence on defense. Nick Leddy's really underrated. He's an undervalued player. Justin Falk is an undervalued player. Colton Parayko is an undervalued player. They're fine. I don't think they're a playoff team because of where the West is. But I think they are a rebuild on the fly. And it's not even a rebuild. I think it's more of a retool. But there'll be some exciting moments there. There will be. It's going to be interesting because they win yesterday, obviously, in Seattle. It's a good win for them. And it's an afternoon game. I'm sure they flew after the game. They're in San Jose. They play in San Jose tomorrow. Obviously a big thing for San Jose. Will Smith playing, Macklin Celebrini, the celebration of their young guns coming in. So it'll be interesting to watch how St. Louis responds in that environment tomorrow. Because the environment in Seattle is awesome. It's just the fans are the environment. It's amazing to see it.
Right.
It really is. It's special.
I'm wondering to see how many fans come back in San Jose because we know they had some of the lowest attendance in the league last year. It's important for them to start to get those fans excited again.
One of the players I worked with this summer, Michael Fisher, who was at Northeastern, he's now playing in Penticton, and he'll be going back to Northeastern next year. He's playing in the VCHL. He was there for their development camp this summer, and he told me every day in that practice facility, it was sold out every day.
Wow.
And that's obviously because of Will Smith and Macklin.
Right.
And so, I think they'll I think the crowd will come back. I do. I think the people are really passionate about the Sharks, and they just want to see the potential for growth. So I'm excited for them. We've been talking. How long have we been talking? In fact, our great friend Kevin Paul Dupont, I remember we talked about Macklin way before the college season started, and Kevin actually alluded to it in his column last year, and I thought that was really nice of him. So, the truth is that Macklin's for real. He's really good.
Yes,
he's really good.
No, and I thought you made a good point last year too, Pierre, when we were talking. I remember we were talking about the attendance, and you said it wasn't just the team. It was almost a perfect storm of things where off the ice, the market, the housing market, the rental market around San Jose, things got really expensive in that city. And obviously it's expensive to go to a hockey game. So, you combine that with a down year, you're not going to get good attendance because, if people are going to fork up that money, it better be a good team or at least exciting to watch. So it's great that they have those two players there this year.
You know what? I'm glad you brought that up because there's another market. Scotty talked about it yesterday, Buffalo. They need to get the trust of their fans back.
Yep.
So, Buffalo's got a huge game tomorrow against LA. Huge. It's a gigantic. Jimmy, I know they went overseas. They lost their first two, so people are going to kind of give them the benefit of the doubt. LA has stayed on the East Coast. They played in Quebec City against Boston, and they stayed here.
I didn't know that. That's smart.
They stayed, and they've been training. So they've basically been landlocked in the East Coast. At East Coast time, it's not going to be a huge advantage for Buffalo. In fact, I think it's more of an advantage for LA.
I would 100% agree.
So all I'll say is, that's the unseen part of that game tomorrow night. And all I'd say is this for Buffalo. They're a lot like San Jose. They got to get the trust of their fans back. I think San Jose has done that, Jimmy. Yeah. I do. They see Will Smith. They see Macklin Celebrini. They see some of the young stuff coming up, and they're excited. That's good. Buffalo, they've seen the young stuff coming. Yeah. Now the young stuff are winning.
Yeah, exactly. They're in a much more advanced stage, but they haven't advanced with age. And I remember Scotty said they're giving away tickets too, Pierre. You never see that for opening night.
That's not in Buffalo. I coached a lot of games there. I broadcast a lot of games there. I played when I was a college player a lot of games there. It's an amazing sports town. It's an awesome. I think at heart I kind of feel like I'm a Buffalonian. I do. I love everything about Buffalo.
You do rave about it.
I rave about it all the time, and it's the people that I played sports with in college who are from there. They were just salt of the earth people. It's coaches that I've known from there. It's obviously going to spend time with Scotty there and getting to know the locals. Mm-hmm. And it's just a fun. For me, it's a fun place. I enjoy it.
Nice. Well, let's go out to another smaller city, but it's probably not well known by a lot of people on the East Coast, and that is Utah and Salt Lake City. The Delta Center was rocking last night, Pierre. What a great atmosphere. That I really enjoyed. They beat the Chicago Blackhawks 5-2. There's a good buzz there. You can see it. Like I said, we're going to get Belle Frazier on. She used to cover the Bruins here in Boston. She went to Boston University, good hockey girl. She knows her stuff. And I'm following her on Twitter. And the stuff she's saying right now about the environment there, I got to get out there for a game, Pierre. I really do. I want to take in a game there.
They've had a lot. See, this is a thing that I don't understand. And again, I know I'm a little older, but they've had big-time hockey there for a long time. Mm-hmm. They were in the IHL for a long time, and they had really good teams. People forget that. They were Calgary's farm team for a long time there. And, whether it was Theo Fleury that played there, Mark Bureau, Stefan Matteau, go look at some of the players that played there over time.
Okay.
They had a lot of really good players that played there. And eventually Paul Ranheim, I think Paul had over 60 goals there one year. Paul played for me in Hartford.
Oh, wow.
Peter Lappin played there, one of our St. Lawrence guys who was a great player in college and great at that level when they won a championship. Paul Baxter coached there, won a championship, and then went up to Calgary. So Salt Lake's got a history of hockey. I know people discount it, but they do. I thought that was awesome last night. Hats off to ownership there, the Smith family, and hats off to Torigny, Andre Torigny, the coach. Happy for him. But
Billy Armstrong.
Yeah, really happy for Billy, as you know. But Jimmy, the team they played.
I know.
Chicago's got problems, Jimmy.
They do, and they know it. They know what they're up against and what it's going to be like. But yeah, you don't want it to get it too bad, especially with some of the young guys there. You don't want that to kind of be the culture they're in. So, hey, they got a good captain, though. I like that Nick Foligno's the captain there. He scored last night.
He's not the problem there.
He's a great guy to have in that draft.
You know, their older guys are getting old. They are.
Yep. That defense is.
Yeah, the younger guys aren't ready. Probably the best thing they could do if I were advising, and I'm not, clearly, I would tell them, play Vlasic and Seth Jones together all the time. Just keep them together. Just keep them together. Let Vlasic have a legit NHL partner. He's a kid that played at BU. He's a big, tall, physical kid. He's got all kinds of potential. I would just play him with a reliable partner like Seth and just let him go. That's the one. If I could do one little constructive criticism, don't break those. Just play them together.
Yep. I'm with you on that. Pierre, we'll look ahead to the games tonight. There's two games that I'm focusing in on, and we'll get to that in a second. But as you mentioned earlier, Linus Ullmark gets a 4-year extension in Ottawa, Pierre. 8.25, and then you see Decord sign an extension as well in Seattle. My question to you is, did Jeremy Swayman achieve what he was trying to do in setting the goalie market? Because these deals came out of nowhere to me.
Well, yeah, but these deals weren't done in a day. They've been working on these deals for a long time.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to look like that. But I can tell you, if I were on the team side, I wouldn't be paying attention to that as a comparable. I would not, especially in the case of Joey. You know, Joey's. And people need to understand this too. These guys still have a year left on their existing contracts. It's not like they're getting paid that tomorrow.
Right.
This is for down the road. It's a year away. But what's impressive about Joey, I'll just tell you, I did a breakdown today. Last year he played 50 games. His goals against was 2.46 on a non-playoff team. His save percentage was 0.196. Okay, pretty responsible. But his win-loss record, 19, 18, and 11. So it shows you, when you really want to be fair about it, he did some really good things as a goalie. But not great run support with those numbers, 19, 18, and 11. So that's him. Let's do the other tail of tape. And this is the one that I don't know how much people pay attention to on Linus Ullmark. Linus Ullmark, in his NHL career, has never been worse than a save percentage of 0.905. Never, ever. Now, this is in his NHL career. There have been other stops along the way. Yeah, where it's been lower. But in the NHL, his save percentage has never been lower than 0.905. That's impressive, number one. Number two, Ottawa needs him. Ottawa needs him. Forsberg's on the last year of an existing contract, so that's something you got to pay attention to. And to me, the biggest thing, and I could be wrong on this, Jimmy, they have two goalies that I really like a lot internally. All right, one is Matt Sogard. He's a great kid from Denmark, really good kid, really great physical goalie. And the other guy is Levi Marilainen. He's a Finn. Played in the Ontario Hockey League. Both those kids were part of the organization when I was in Ottawa. They're both legit prospects, Jimmy. So I don't know if Forsberg stays, but neither one of those kids is ready to be a starter. And this allows them to develop even more, and I think it's a really good contract for Ottawa. And again, it starts a year from now.
So you've got no issue with giving that extension to Linus right now before he's even played behind that Ottawa defense. He hasn't even played one game.
No, because he had to do it in Buffalo, and that's why I did the research. So that's why I did it. And so Ottawa was a Buffalo was a non-playoff team every year he was there.
Yep.
Okay.
And they did not have a great defense there either.
No, the Ottawa defense is better than Buffalo's. So that's why I said, again, you can go look the numbers up, do the research.
Yep.
And that's and I do things when I evaluate differently. Okay. And so I wanted to see behind that Buffalo defense, what was his worst year? And his worst year was 18-19, and the save percentage was 0.905.
It's still good. It's decent and respectable.
Very responsible, Jimmy.
Yep.
Very responsible.
Yep. Catch by you. Well, that answers that. All right, let's look. By the way, we're going to tee up the Montreal Canadiens and the Maple Leafs. That's one of the games I'm focused on. I also want to watch Colorado and Vegas closely. But as far as the Canadiens go, Pierre, it appears Jaden Strubl's injury might be a little more serious than we thought. They go out and they sign a familiar face in Lindstrom. Just your take on that situation. Just more depth. Yeah. It's too bad for Struble too, because I thought he had a good end.
Jaden had a great camp.
Yeah,
he really did. Jaden, I'm just telling you, he had a really good camp, Jimmy. I was really impressed by his training camp. I don't think you overreact to it. It's so early, and I think we know what Montreal is. Mm-hmm. Montreal is a team that's trying to climb, and I think they will. They'll be better than they were last year. I'm going to be interested to see. They made a decision. Barre Boulet is playing ahead of Kapanen tonight, so they made a decision internally. We'll see. It's a back-to-back for Montreal. They play in Montreal tonight against Toronto, and then Boston tomorrow. So it'll be interesting to see. But I found that of all the decisions, I found that one interesting. I know they've been raving about Barre Boulet's training camp, which is excellent. I'm happy for the kid.
It's a great story too. He's worked hard to get to this point.
Oh my gosh, 100%. It's great. Yeah. My biggest, and we talked about it yesterday, and I hope I'm wrong. Not having Lane Hudson on the number one power play, I don't think is right, but we'll see.
One thing I'll say, and I totally agree, Pierre, I do think if St. Louis, if what we're saying proves to be correct and it's the wrong, he's quick to adapt. He's quick to change. He's not a stubborn coach who's always going to be like, well, I'm keeping them there anyways. He'll adapt quick.
I think that's fair. I agree with what you just said is really fair. I just, again, I know people are probably going to rip me apart, but Lane Hudson's a real deal, man. He's so good. My only concern is just him getting tired and getting beat down because he's not very big, but he's just so good.
Yep. And with you on that.
His passion to play makes other players have passion to play. He's electrifying.
Coachable player. Very coachable player. Pierre, you look at the other side there, and you and I were talking about it earlier this afternoon. Joseph Wall is hurt again. Last minute scratch for tonight. Stolarz will get the start. I kind of, Pierre, and I think you're kind of with me on this. I've been feeling all along that eventually Stolarz it's going to be a 1A, 1B, and eventually Stolarz becomes the 1A. That's my prediction for Toronto there. I really see that happening.
I do too. And we've talked about him for a while, Jimmy.
One of the best under the radar signings.
I know you didn't want to spell his last name, you know.
Yeah.
We've been talking about him for a long time. The one thing I'd say, and I'll echo what Max Pacioretty said about him. Max said right from the start of camp, I couldn't believe how big he was. I couldn't believe how athletic he was, and I couldn't score on him. It was very frustrating to play against. Well, that's him. Now, I don't think he'll be overwhelmed by the moment. You know, he's been on the bench for a Stanley Cup final. He knows what the intensity level's like. He's played in really difficult environments. He's been part of the London Knights organization way back when, 12 years ago, 11 years ago. So I don't see anything bad happening for him.
No, I think it's going to be a feel-good story. Yep, I really do. I look forward to him this year.
Show last week, Jimmy, in Toronto, and I told him, they said, what's the one story you're really going to want to follow in Toronto? I said, Anthony Stolarz.
There you go.
You
don't script this.
No, but I just think there's something about him, Jimmy. I really do.
Yep. I'm with you on that. You look at that matchup here. I was going to ask you this. We always talk about in baseball, opening day is a huge day, right? It's an event. It's one of the marquee events of the season, and they hype it up so much. I feel like in hockey, sometimes it's not as much, but when it's the Canadiens and the Leafs in Montreal or in Toronto, either place, there's something different to it. There's a different feel to it. You agree?
Yes, especially with what happened in the preseason.
Oh, yeah.
We had the shenanigans going on with our Jack guy and obviously Ryan Reeves and Pare's hit on Patrick Laine. And, we can even go back to the rookie camp where, Lane Hudson gets absolutely steamrolled. And I apologize to the young man that hit him. I forgot his name. And I don't mean any disrespect to him. But he was a young guy that's no longer there. He's part of the Leafs, but he's not. I think they sent him back to junior. I apologize to that young man and his family. it was a hard hit, and you see how tough Lane is, but it even goes back that far. There's no love lost between these two teams, and with Berube there now, he's going to bring Berube pressure.
The nastiness, yeah.
Yeah. He needs his team to play a certain way.
Yep.
We talk about Stolars. The one guy that I'm excited for there is Christopher Tanev.
Oh, yeah.
Matchup-wise, he's going to make a big difference. Dallas, when they lost him last year, when he got hurt in the playoffs, that really hurt Dallas a lot.
For sure.
Dallas,
yeah. I don't think they want to lose him, period, in free agency as well.
No,
Pierre, look at Slafkovsky now. Obviously, after, I wouldn't say a down first year, but, I think there's high expectations.
Injuries too. Those
hurt.
Go ahead.
But he had a great year last year. Yeah. What does a great year this year look like to you for Slafkovsky? 65
to 75 points. If he could do that, playing as a first-line player, that's good. Jimmy, the one thing I want to say this in his defense, and I was over there a lot his draft year. I spent a lot of time watching him practice and play in Turku. And Marty Lapointe was there a bunch, the chief scout at the time. This is before the Mickey Bobroff went to Montreal. All I'll say is Marty saw it. He saw the same thing I did. He was stuck on the third line, that kid. And I know he was playing pro hockey, but he's on the third line. The coach maybe played him 8 to 11 minutes a game, Jimmy. I'm just telling you. So he basically missed. The only time he really had a chance to play a lot was in the Olympics for Slovakia. He was the MVP of the Olympics in Beijing.
I know. Yeah.
But you watch and you're like, oh, man, throw the guy out there. Give him a little sugar time on the power play, anything. Yep. And so even though his first year wasn't great, last year, Jimmy, you can't. Last year was really good.
Yeah.
It's really good his second year. So, anyways.
All right. Well, I'm looking forward to that game. The other game, and feel free, Pierre, if there's some other games that you're looking at, but the other one I'm looking at is that late game between the Colorado Avalanche and the Golden Knights. Whenever these two teams get together, it's always fun. Two teams that I think, obviously the Avalanche, I think a lot of people are high on and perfect. That's well-deserved. But I don't, like I said yesterday, I don't think the Golden Knights are getting enough respect right now. I think they're going to be better than a lot of the pundits think right now. And I look at that defense, it's still stout. It's still very stout. And I think, you look at some of the guys they have up front, obviously Jack Eichel, this is still going to be a good team despite some of the losses they had.
Well, that you just touched on the right thing, though, the losses. So how are they consecutive years now? They lose Riley Smith, they lose Jonathan Marchessault, and they lose Chandler Stevenson. Jimmy, those are guys that were big parts of winning the cup.
Yep,
blue
guys.
They're big, and you know what? They lost Will Carrier too. I forgot about that. I'm just thinking.
That's a good point.
So, and Martinez left too. So there are guys that have left there. You talked about losses. There's some losses there. There is no question there's some losses there.
Yep. I like to see. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I like to see what Thomas Hertl can do in a 100% healthy year, if that's achievable, in Vegas, because it's kind of been a bumpy ride since he went there. I know it hasn't been long, but I want to see what he can do now. He's settled in. He's got the guys. He's familiar with the team. He's familiar with the area. I want to see what he does this year. He's a guy I'm watching for sure.
He was hurt last year when they got him.
Yeah.
He was good last year, and they knew it.
Yeah.
So you're right. I think that's fair. Can he replace Chandler? I think he can.
I do too.
You should be able to, but we'll see. Marchessault is going to be interesting because, sneaky, quick scoring guy. And he opened up a lot for their creative playmakers because of his speed. He stretched the zone really well. So we'll see. It's one of the games I'll be watching tonight for sure. And also I want to watch Calgary, Vancouver, and I'll tell you why. You made a great point. You made a great point about Thatcher Demko.
Oh, yesterday, yeah.
Artur Silov's playing tonight for Vancouver. Which last year he was in the playoffs. He was a big story for them, especially in the Nashville series. And he was really good. But then he got hurt. So now, their other guy's hurt. Casey DeSmith has moved on. And now they got Silovs there. And they picked up Patera, on waivers. So again, for Rick, this is, but when Calgary, we know where Calgary's at. Calgary's in a rebuild, and they got a lot of youthful enthusiasm. This is a big game for Vancouver at home. and so there's a lot of expectation in Vancouver, Jimmy, a lot.
Yeah. A lot of people are picking them to go to the Cup here. I mean, I've heard a lot of people out there saying,
I think one of our better guests this summer was Rick Dollywall.
oh yeah,
I thought
Oh,
he was great. I
what a
thought he was
great-
great. And he
yeah.
talked about the passion and the energy that the coaching staff in Vancouver has brought to the team. I thought he was really appropriate when he talked about
Mhm.
the Canucks. If I remember correctly, one thing he says, the only concern they have is the health of their goalies.
yeah, that's
And
it. I mean,
I'm paraphrasing, but I think that's like the only X factor for them. How they're
Right.
going to be in the goal.
because they have a balanced team in front. One guy, Pierre, I want to talk about there, and I'm glad you brought that game up. How does Jake DeBrusk perform on a new team? He's never known any other team than the Boston Bruins, but he's got some skill around him there. I mean, I don't think I'm out of line saying I could see him scoring 30 goals there.
Better. I think so.
Better, yeah.
There are two former Bruins that are there. One's Danton Heinen and one's him.
Yep.
And I think both those guys could do well.
Yeah.
They could do
I've been
really
looking at the lines who they got him going with, but I mean,
well. I think Heinen's actually going to start with JT Miller on the first line. And I think, when you look it up now, Jimmy, but I think he's going to play on the first line. And, I think Jake's going to play with Pettersson.
yeah, see, Jake and Pettersson could be magic together, I think. I really do. Let's check this out. Where do they got him? Yeah, you said Danton Heinen with JT Miller and Besser. And then DeBrusk, left to right, DeBrusk, Pettersson, and Sprong. That's another interesting pickup there.
Well, Sprong's interesting. So
Right?
he's a Dutch kid who grew up in Montreal.
Yep.
He scored like a banshee in junior. Like, he was a scoring machine. But Jimmy, you got to plug his name in.
Yeah.
I'm trying to do the math. Washington.
Did he play at Lac St. Louis?
Hmm?
Did he play at Lac St. Louis, Sprong?
Yeah, before he played junior. But
Yep,
I'm
that's what I
doing-
thought.
I'm just thinking, Washington, Pittsburgh, Chicago. How many teams? Is he got?
Anaheim for 8 teams.
How many
Or four-
teams?
Yeah, he's got, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 now. This is his 6th team.
6 team in how many years, Jimmy?
Let's go. Full seasons. You'd have to say his first full season was 18-19. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This will be his 7th season.
So he's basically been on a team every year, a
Yeah.
different
Suitcase Sprong. Who's that guy?
Suitcase Smith. Suitcase Smith.
Okay, and no, Lee Stepniak. They used to call Lee Stepniak the suitcase
do they?
because he played for so many different teams, and he was I think he played for the Bruins 3 different times.
All I
Actually,
know is he lives around the Boston area now, and
Yep.
Lee is an
Great guy.
outstanding player development coach. I
Mhm.
love visiting with him. He was a great Dartmouth player. He played at Dartmouth for Bobby Gaudette. He was a really good player. He was a great St. Louis Blue player. He was a solid Toronto Maple Leaf player. He was great in Arizona. He was really good in Arizona. And he's a gentleman. Lee Stepniak.
He really
He's
is.
got some young kids. He got some young kids. I see him around the rinks. You got some young kids playing now, so it's kind of neat. But Lee's a gentleman, a real good hockey man. Really good.
he's still so he's still in Boston. That's good. Yeah, I thought I knew. He
Yeah,
was
he's in
around.
Boston. I still think I could be wrong, but I think he's working for Utah. I almost got caught saying he works for where they used to be, but I think he's in Utah.
2 other games, Pierre. The one another a 7 o'clock hour there will be on Max and TNT. The Rangers and the Penguins. I think we're both in agreement where these teams stand right now. The window is open, but it could shut soon for the Rangers. The window is closed for the Penguins. I don't think they're making the playoffs.
Yeah, well, they haven't made it the previous 2 years. I think how they start the year.
And I hate saying that because I love Sid. but
It's just heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking. But you look at just the way they're starting the season. It's all original 6 teams. It's New York, then they're into Detroit, then they're into Toronto, then they're into Montreal. It's not going to be easy for
Yeah.
Pittsburgh.
That's gonna be
Who knows? Maybe last year, Sid dragged them right into the fight and got
he
them.
did.
If they would have made the playoffs, Jimmy, I'm telling you right now, you had to consider voting for him for MVP.
Oh,
If
he was.
made the playoffs, he had to be in the discussion.
Yeah, he was in my top 5. He was. I think I had him 4.
But Jimmy, if he drags that team in the playoffs,
Oh yeah,
he has to be the
he's
guy.
the only reason he's there. He's the only reason they sniffed it.
Jimmy, if he's not
I mean,
there, they're in the lottery.
I'm just gonna say that they are a lottery team,
man. I'm just telling you that maybe they get back on Celebrini,
right?
I'm just telling you.
Maybe it should have gone that way for them. Pierre, the other game, the Jets and Oilers, always a good fun game, an old Smythe division rivalry, just like Flames and Canucks.
Yeah.
Hopes are high. I mean, there were expectations on the Oilers last year, but then, of course, they had the horrible start, but they obviously bounced back and made it all the way to Game 7 in the Stanley Cup final. But, man, Pierre, it's cup or bust in Edmonton right now. You've been on teams that have made it to the finals, and you were able to go twice in a row and win it twice. But what's it like when the expectations are just through the roof for a team to start the season? How hard is that for a coach and team to handle?
Depending on how mature your leadership is, it can be real easy or really tough. And that's why I continually go back and hearken to Gordy Roberts, who was part of our team in Pittsburgh, Brian Trottier, the older guys. They settled all the young guys down. They never let the expectation overwhelm everybody. And it was really good. Mario was phenomenal at that, just calming everybody down. I got to think Connor McDavid can do that. I just have to. I got to think Ryan Nugent-Hopkins can do that. I think there's enough guys in there that can do that in Edmonton. I like the fact that Knobloch's there. I like the fact Paul Coffey stayed. Mark Stewart's still there. I think Glenn Gullicks, and they kept their staff together. I think it was really important. It's interesting you talk about this matchup. Scotty Arneal, who I like very much. He's now taking over as a coach in Winnipeg. I personally, and I've watched him coach. He was an assistant coach for a long time in the league.
Yes.
There was one year, I just don't want to say it. He was really good as an assistant. I used to watch him run practices and work with special teams. And I never really did this before, but at the end of the year, I called him up. And he was back home in Winnipeg. And I said, I know they don't have an award for the assistant coach of the year. I said, but man, you were so good this year. I just want you to know.
That's great.
I have a ton of respect for you and how you carried yourself.
Well, you've been in his shoes,
Yeah, well, that's what I told him. I said, I've walked in your shoes, and, everybody gives the head coach a ton of credit, which they deserve, because if it doesn't go well, the head coach is getting it.
Yeah.
But
it's funny you bring that up. Go ahead.
But I told him, I said, I just have so much admiration and respect for the way you did your job this year. And eventually it worked out really well for him, and he got another chance to be a head coach, which I'm really happy about.
Well, I'll let you know, and I think I told you this, after the playoffs, Mark Stewart reached out to me and thanked me for all the praise you and I were giving him on the eye test here. He said, because nobody talks about the assistant coach. He's like, I'm glad you noticed. He's like, it was a great learning experience, Jimmy. And, he felt like he really went to another level as a coach last year. As the year went on, and you could see it in the playoffs for sure.
All you need to do is look at the way he influenced the penalty kill there.
Yep.
And Mark wasn't about offensive numbers. He was on the first ever American team that won the gold medal at the World Junior in 2004. And he was a huge part of that. He was one of the captains. He was a huge part of that team. And, he also tasted bitter disappointment when the Bruins traded him to Atlanta. He misses winning the cup. So I'm a big fan of that kid. He's a good coach. He's a really honorable person. I like the fact that Knobloch and Stan Bowman, the upper echelon, Jeff Jackson, they kept their staff together. The fact that Paul's family, Paul Coffey's family's in Toronto. So I don't know whether they've moved out to Edmonton with him or not, but Paul did a really good job there last year, and Mark did an outstanding job there.
Pierre, when a team goes that far, I mean, people within the game, like you'll notice the jobs the assistants are doing. When they go that far, you think these guys are getting a lot of offers elsewhere too to leave?
Problem is, I
know it's not supposed to be said. I know it's pretty much poaching, but I mean, I would think that people are taking notice when a team turns around. Edmonton did.
The good teams, they extend their assistants quickly. Like I remember once, I was working for Brian Burke, and I was an assistant coach, and another team wanted me to be able to get out of my contract. And Brian said, and I won't tell you the team, he said, I like that team a lot, but I like my team more, so I'm not letting them go. So I was like, okay, well, at least it's okay. And then 2 months later, Brian left to go work for the NHL.
Oh, jeez.
It all worked out okay, Jimmy. It all worked out.
That's good. Good stuff. All right. Well, before we get over to our Q&A, I see the lining up here, and man, we stormed right through this, Pierre. Having a lot.
Well,
it's good when you're having fun, right?
I'm so proud of where the NHL is right now. So proud of where the teams are. The players are so professional, Jimmy. The caliber of play is great. It's really great. It's amazingly good. It's a fantastic product. There's some things that need to be better, Jimmy. I won't lie to you.
Of course.
And it's not about the game on the ice. There's some things that need to be better. And I think they will be, hopefully over time, people will sort things out. But, we've got a lot of great things. That Utah story is going to be huge. If that team can stay relevant, that's going to be gigantic for the league. It'll be great for the players, too. It'll be really good for the players.
Yep. I think they're going to, told you. We've said it all along. They're a dark horse team to watch. All right. And speaking of dark horses, if you like to bet them, maybe go see what the futures are on Utah. You can go over right now to our good friends Betway, because Betway is the leading global online betting and gaming brand. Follow your gut instinct. Go with Betway. Go to betway.com. Or if you're watching right now, you can scan that QR code right in front of you to join the action. And of course, you must be 18 plus and play responsibly. What do we have in the Q&A section here on the second full night in the NHL? All right. Mike says, not sure if you guys saw it, but he thinks.
Oh, I saw it. Come on. You don't want to take a penalty.
I don't think so.
Yeah, no. Mike, we saw it. And was it too much respect? No. But, Mike, you've probably been on the ice. So that's Connor Bedard. Sergachev doesn't want to stick his knee out. You'd think you got Connor Bedard hemmed in. If Sergachev made one mistake playing on the left side, Bedard coming down the right side, he didn't angle him very well. But he didn't want to stick his knee out and do something really stupid. So he did, and then he let the guy go.
Yeah.
Now, I will say this. All bets are off if it's the playoffs.
Oh, yeah.
All bets are off.
Yeah.
But I don't think it was too much respect. I just think athletically he could. Yeah. Outside, it's like the Pare thing on Line A. Pare's a tough kid, but he's not a good enough athlete to be in that position. It's just that's where it's at.
Yeah.
And it wasn't that Sergachev's just not as good an athlete as Connor Bedard. Let's be honest.
He's not the first Bedard's done that to, and he won't be the last, right?
No,
so there you go.
Thank you, Jimmy. Thank you.
All right, next question. Alex Ivanowski. What's up, Alex? When I look at St. Louis, I get confused. That's the one I was referring to earlier, as to where they're going. It feels like at times they have 1 foot out and 1 foot in for retool and trying to win now. As a fan, this would frustrate me. Alex, I think you nailed it there, and that's what we said. I mean, that's where they are right now. It is frustrating for fan bases, too.
But people need to remember this, though, because I understand how quickly the cycle goes. They were all in to win in 2019, and they, the fact that they were the worst team in the league on January 1st of 2019.
Yep.
And they came back all that way under Berube and won the cup. Jimmy, that's unbelievable. Think about that for a second.
Yeah.
I mean, so Doug Armstrong that year, they were all in. And then we had the COVID stuff, and I was out in Edmonton, and I could tell they were in trouble.
Yep.
They lost to Vancouver in the playoffs out there, and I could tell it was not good. You could just tell guys were with the Stanley Cup hangover.
Yeah, and you factor in COVID on top of it. Yeah.
You could just tell it wasn't good.
Yeah. All right. Next question. What do we got? Randy Workman. Question. Seattle now has $11 million in their goaltending duel. How much cap should a team put in their goaltending? I think Seattle has too much money into their duel. I think it's situational, Randy. I really do. And I think my sweet spot's about 10, if you can do it. But I understand if some team, if they value those guys, then it's going to go a little more above that. But my sweet spot's 10, Pierre. I don't know about you.
So, Jimmy, I want you to do this for me as I pontificate on goaltender space.
Okay.
I want you to look at what Joseph Wall makes, and I want you to look at what Anthony Stolarz makes. And I think it comes out to less than $8 million a year, significantly less than $8 million. I think it's about 5.5. Tell me what you think, what you find.
So we got Stolarz in at 2.5 this year and next.
Yep.
And Wall is only at $766,000.
So it's less than $5 million for the
And then that
Toronto.
goes up next year to 3.6.
So
But
it
still,
goes up
that's still
next year.
only $6
It's
million.
less- That's what I'm saying. So it's less than $8 million.
Yeah.
They could have. So what that does, and just is to so nobody's talking about that. I'm just bringing it again. That's why I brought it up.
Yeah, it's a good question, Randy.
So it's a really good question. So here's all I'm going to say, Jimmy, on this. Let's just say that they're the two guys, and Hildeby's another guy coming up. Dennis Hildeby. I talked to one of their players and said, Pierre, this guy's really good.
I was telling you, I know teams were trying to pry him in the offseason.
This player that I know there, I trust him a lot. I've worked with him. He said, I'm just telling you, Pierre, he's really good. I said, okay, your word's good enough for me. Let's just say, for the sake of argument, next year, Toronto doesn't have the year they wanted to this year. But they got those two guys back. You know what that does for the cap for them? It allows them to buy one elite player or two unbelievable role players because of where the goalie salary is.
Which I think is more what they need. Yeah.
So they're in a good spot.
That's good management right there.
Everybody says, 10 million is kind of the mark. I would be greedy and say I want to come in less than 8.
Wow.
If I can
if you can do it, you do it, right?
That's what I'm saying. If you can do it, you do it. So Montreal, I'll give you another one.
Montreal, huh? Oh my gosh, you're right.
Look at Montreal.
I'm going there right now.
Yeah, so what Montreal
even lower.
are doing, and then think coming up, Jacob Dobish and Fowler.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to be able to buy
on entry levels.
They're going to be able to buy more players. That's what I'm saying.
So not counting obviously Price because he's down on the IR, but the two goalies right now dressing tonight is Samuel Montembeault at 3.1 for this season, the next, and the season after that, and then Caden Primo right now only at 890,000, and he's an RFA after this. Wow,
that's what I'm saying. So, and Dobish is on entry level.
Yep.
See what I mean? Like, I think that's kind of the model. Now you have to draft well.
You know what? You're right.
Young guys. But if you do, I think that's more of the model if you can do it.
Yep. All right. Next question. David Robinson. What's up, Dave? Jeff says hello, by the way. How reliant are the Habs on the ceiling of Yuri Slafkovsky going forward? Are we going to see another Slovak player doing great things in the big hockey market for a long time? Yes, yes, yes. I think he is he's so made for that market, Pierre, not just his play, obviously, and what he can do on the ice, but his personality is just – because let's face it, that's probably arguably the toughest market to play in. And when you can have kind of this unflappable, go-lucky, happy – he's kind of like Pasta almost. His personality reminds me of Pasternak, and I think that's great to have in that market.
I agree with everything Jimmy said. And David, I just think he's going to be a special player there for a long time.
Yeah.
I said it the day he got drafted. I know a lot of people wanted to throw a lot of rocks at me because I did the draft that year, and they're like, "Oh, what about this guy?" I'm like, "No, this guy's better because he's big and his hand skills are insane."
You watched him a lot. So.
But now we're seeing it and like, oh, this guy's
great.
Really good.
All right, next question. Kook69, what, in your opinion, are BB's strengths and weaknesses, and what will make him valuable contributor to Montreal? And that would be Barre Boulet.
I knew who he meant.
You know what they're calling him now. I see it over there in the comments section. Barbecue Boulet.
That's good. That's good.
Catch on.
You know what? He's a goal scorer. I saw him in the American League. He could really score. Obviously in Tampa, there were nights where he could really score. I think he becomes a guy that influences a game on the power play if he gets a chance to, which I believe he will. So scoring is going to be his mechanism. It's not going to be about being a defensive titan or a guy that's going to be on the ice at the end of a game defending a one-goal lead. He'll be a guy that'll be out there when you're down a goal or down 2 goals. He can get points. He can score.
Yep. I like it. Good pickup by them. All right, next question. A to Z me. How much would Gretzky or Lemieux be worth today? Oh, my.
Well, probably 20 million each. In this, I mean, if you really look at it, they carry the league.
It's unreal.
Yeah, it is unreal.
They must be looking at this sometimes and being like, whoa, look at the money these guys are getting now compared to what we got, But, yeah, I'd agree with Pierre.
Everything's relative.
Yep.
They're both amazing guys, phenomenal players.
Randy Workman, the goaltending's union has severe issues with groin injuries. Is there an issue with how hard these guys work in the offseason? I think it's just the nature of the position, right? It is.
Yeah, it's not just that either, Randy, to be fair. The players have to move so quickly laterally now. I'm not sure the human body's built to do that. Jonathan Quick had the best answer for me. I said, do you think a lot of kids will copy your style? And he says, they may, but they're going to end up in the emergency room. He told me that during the Stanley Cup final when New Jersey played LA. It's one of the best lines I ever heard.
He's awesome.
He meant it. You look at how many times Quickie's been hurt over the course of his career. It's amazing.
I know. And it's always been that. Yeah. We got to get Quickie on there sometime. Yeah. He's great. He's such a good interview. All right, next question.
You just cut the cord with that UMass stuff. Just cut the cord.
I wasn't even thinking that, Pierre.
I was right away.
I know.
You light up like that.
Do you guys think? By the way, they got a game against Northeastern on Nesson in January. I just got the Nesson schedule.
By the way, I'm broadcasting one of their games.
I heard. I'm looking forward to that. That's going to be a proud moment for you.
I'm
GB,
doing UMass's game.
Oh, yeah.
I'm doing a UMass.
Somebody was telling me that. Yeah.
I'm excited to do it.
What game is that?
I've got it.
Okay, let me know.
But, I'm doing it because I really like Coach Carver. And I really like the kid that's doing the broadcasting there is really good.
Yep.
So let's go.
You got a good friend here, too.
Well, what was the question?
Do you guys think Swayman will play against the Habs tomorrow night? Yes. Yep. Definitive yes. All right, next question. Alex Ovanowski. Always want to ask this. How come the NHL went to Columbus over Cleveland and or Cincinnati? I know Cleveland has the AHL team now. I was just curious because I was pretty young at the time. It's a great question.
Really good question. Cincinnati really didn't have a building. There was a commitment from the McConnell family. I was going to call them the McConnell family. Very, very successful family. Unbelievable titans in the industry that they're, and I think Doug McClain deserves a lot of credit. He did a really good job trying to get the team in there. Mike Priest did a really good job. Cleveland had the NBA. They had the NFL. There was a lot more competition.
Back today. Remember them, Pierre?
There was a lot more competition for disposable income in Cleveland than there would have been in Columbus. So I think that's part of it. I coached exhibition games in Cincinnati, believe it or not, in the old Cincinnati Gardens. And it was a replica of Maple Leaf Gardens, believe it or not, Jimmy. It was.
Oh, wow.
It's a replica of Maple Leaf Gardens. I'm not sure the NHL would work there. I just think it's more of a football, baseball town. I don't see it really. So I think the league actually went into the right place.
I do too. I love going to Columbus.
I think Columbus is one of the fun stuff. If you talk to a lot of the players that have played there, they tell you all the time, they're like, I love it.
There's some really good restaurants there too. You wouldn't think it, but there are.
Pearl. Here's a good one for you. Go to Pearl. Pearl's good.
Okay. We'll definitely do it.
Right on the main drag.
All right, next question. David Robinson again. I love that the home opener for Boston is against Montreal, but if the Bruins keep up their level of play, how long do we have for the Habs to retake their position as the chief in the rivalry there? I don't know if we're there yet, David, but I mean, it could happen in a few years. I'm just happy that rivalry is going to be something again. Like, I think it's going to go back and forth a lot more now. I really do.
I do too. I'm not prepared to get into the hijinks of this versus that. I just want to watch the game on the end.
And I love that it's a home opener, too. I can't remember the last time the Bruins opened against the Habs in their season home opener. All right, next question. Kook69, if you were a Montreal GM, what would you do with Demidov's current situation regarding his extremely little time on ice in the last 4 games?
So what you need to know, when you do stuff with European teams, you have no control.
I was just going to say that.
You just talked about with Safkowski. I was there before they drafted him. You ask get Marty Lapointe on here. He'll tell you the same thing. I saw him over there. The kid would play 8, 9 minutes, 10 minutes, maybe 11. No power play time for Safkowski. Yeah. Those coaches want to keep their jobs too. And they also know that if they give those kids too much sugar time, those kids might leave quicker. So it's a very difficult situation. It's really, really difficult. People don't understand. There's nothing you can do. Your hands are tied.
You think the K is the hardest too to kind of deal with that? The KHL, I do too.
You know, I'll share this with you. I'm comfortable. There's not too much I'm not comfortable sharing, but there's a lot when it comes to the KHL. I don't want to share too much. I have a lot of friends that are working over there and coaching there. But what I do know, NHL scouts, they don't get all the intel they need to on those players because a lot of those players, they don't come over for the combine.
Yeah.
And so, you know, they may say, oh, he had to hurt this or he had to hurt that. But you don't really know if it was treated properly. You never really know on a lot of it. And I'm telling you, Jimmy, from the bottom of my heart, there are a lot of guys that really respect in the business, and they're very hesitant.
Yes.
Players from their sight unseen. They're very hesitant.
I've got some more stories, but I don't think it's proper to tell. I'll tell you off air. So, all right, next question. Brett Favre, like when something about Mary. I like that. Would Lane Hutson's future project better as a center? Somebody else asked this like about a month ago, I think, Pierre. Aside from Trevor Daley's longevity, can a small D-man survive in the playoffs?
I think Adam Fox has done okay.
Yep.
I think Quinn Hughes has done okay. There used to be a guy named Ray Oretzalainen. He was a phenomenal New York Ranger and a Stanley Cup winner with the Edmonton Oilers. He lasted a long time. Phil Housley's not overly large. He's a Hall of Famer. I think guys can survive, but they have to have really unique skill, and Lane has really unique skill.
With the center question, though, Pierre, was it Phil Housley who tried to do that? Okay.
No, Scotty thought about it, but he never did it.
Okay, so I knew somebody thought about it. Yeah.
Well, Scotty thought about it.
Scotty's always exploring ideas. That's why we love him. And thanks again to Scotty. What an interview that was yesterday, by the way.
Unbelievable response I've had personally just from so many people.
Yeah, you know what? And I apologize. I forgot to get to it, Pierre. We'll do it. We'll play it tomorrow because let's see how it goes tonight. And when we react to the game tomorrow, I want to go back and play that clip of what he had to say about the Maple Leafs. We'll save that for tomorrow. And
before we go, I have to ask you while we're on the air because we don't have anything from our viewers or listeners. Are we going to the game tomorrow? Has that been done?
I was just getting to that, my friend, and you should receive an email shortly. I just forwarded it to you. You and I are credentialed for that game, and I think we are going to broadcast live from TD Garden to tee up the Bruins and Canadiens tomorrow. So when we see you tomorrow, both Pierre and I will be in the press box at TD Garden. Looking forward to that, and as always, looking forward to watching a game with you, Pierre, because I learn something new every time I do. I'm looking forward to that.
Jimmy, here's what you're going to learn about tomorrow. I'm going to do a Lou Lamoriello on you. You're going to show up in a shirt and tie, and you're going to be clean shaved.
Oh, don't you worry. Don't you worry, my friend. I'm getting a haircut. I got a hair appointment tomorrow. Getting a haircut. Oh, yeah. And I'm shaved, and I'll be in my shirt and tie. I've got the tie picked. Don't you worry. I'm going to see me at games. I do.
So we'll be there early tomorrow. What time you want to meet? Let's do this on air now.
Yeah, let's do it. I say we should probably get there at 4. At 3 at the latest. Here.
I'll meet you there at 3 o'clock tomorrow at the press gate.
Okay.
It's still in the same place.
Still the same place. Yep.
Garage. You go up.
Yeah. Right where those buses for the visitors teams are waiting there.
Yeah, TV trucks by the fence there. I know.
Yeah. All right. And of course, another time I will get to watch some hockey with you in person, Pierre, will be at the end of November. Looking forward to going over to the Friendship 4. Want to remind everybody of that. Be sure to tune in that week. Pierre and I will be doing 3 straight shows from the Heart Bar in Belfast. And then, of course, we will be leading into that for the 6 weeks leading into the tournament, getting guests related to the schools that are playing and to the people, the organizers like Sarah Stanton from Cara Travel or Steve Thornton from the Belfast Giants.
And don't forget the Bister collection, the folks in Kildare. They've been unbelievable supporting this whole event. They've been great. So
really looking forward to that. It's going to be fun. Pierre's going to teach me how to travel long distance and sleep on a plane.
Yeah, I have a formula. It works.
Because we're going. You said we get there. We're hitting the ground. Got a red eye, and we're going to work.
Right to work.
All right. I'm looking forward to that. Do we have? No, that's it. That's it for our questions. Well, Pierre, good times, my friend. Enjoy the hockey today.
Great job by the crew back in Montreal. Sammy,
and the whole family, the Cavallaro family, doing a great job as always. And to you, the listeners and viewers, we appreciate your questions. We appreciate your support. We will talk to you here on the Eye Test on the Sick Podcast Network tomorrow.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Eye Test with Pierre McGuire and Jimmy Murphy on YouTube, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts.